All right, so it's time to set it off. And day two of the Coach Cool podcast with this new format. Got my boy Kenny Willekes on the line here today. Ecstatic to have him on. Every time we kind of link up or talk or whatever, this dude just kind of comes through the TV or comes through the screen or comes through the phone with energy, with vibes, some value. And I think a lot of people know who he is, but I'm going to ask him to intro himself real quick and set the conversation off in that direction, and we'll hop into these questions. So, Kenny, welcome to the show, brother. Thanks for the time, man. And again, like I said, if you can intro yourself real quick, I think that'd be a great place to start, dude.
Yeah, what's going on? Appreciate you for having me on. First off, Kenny Willekes. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I played defensive end at Michigan State for the last 5 years.
Bang. Perfect. And I know all the Spartan fans out there obviously know who Kenny is, and I think anybody who follows the NFL will certainly get to know who he is here pretty soon. But in the context of kind of what I'm doing on the show this week, I got these 5 questions we're going to rock out with Kenny. Same thing I did yesterday with Trey, and see where we kind of go with this thing. I know yesterday me and Trey hopefully brought y'all some value, so I'm anticipating the very same thing today with Kenny. So, Kenny, first question I got for you, man, talking about or just thinking about your entire life up to this point, the things you've experienced, things that you've done, things that you've seen, and it's been a hell of a lot. So when you think of all those different times and experiences and whatnot and kind of put them all into the framework here, what can you say has probably been the most formative time or times or experiences that you had up to this point in your life?
In terms of what would you say? In terms
anything.
of growth?
It could be life. It could be football. I know you have a lot of experience football-wise, but it could be your parents growing up. It could be a coach. It could be a teacher. It could be something you see, you did, whatever. But just something that's kind of helped you along the way that's kind of made you who you are today, if you will.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd say the groundwork for everything got set growing up with my parents.
Yeah.
I went to a smaller Christian school. I was homeschooled a little bit, so I spent a lot of time around my parents. And, my father just instilled in me hard work. He's a cardiothoracic surgeon. He goes to the hospital. He works hours and hours trying to save lives. Then he'll come home and, we don't have a TV in our house, so he's never sitting still. He's outside working, building four-wheelers, just doing all types of crazy stuff. So I think I got my work ethic from him. He taught me everything you do in life, everything you put your name on, give it your all. And then my mom's a stay-at-home mom, took care of the kids, sweetest mom ever. And she's the biggest thing she taught me, the biggest thing I took from her, is put others before you that are less fortunate than you. That's kind of the big thing she preached growing up. If someone's less fortunate than you, if you have the ability to help someone out, do that. Yeah. And then I had 7 siblings, 7 very competitive siblings. I think that's where my competitive side comes from. 3 brothers. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the video of the backflip going around. I was actually the fourth brother to learn how to backflip. So I had to learn how to do it. They were all making fun of me, so I had to finally learn how to do it.
I'm with it. I totally get it. Now, when it comes to your parents, I like to ask this question when people say their parents, and it really intrigues me because this is where I'm kind of going with my coaching career stuff, maybe this podcast, and hopefully kind of when I'm parenting one day. But when you think about the influence that your parents had, your mom and your dad had on you, I think there's kind of a couple ways you can go about this thing. They can kind of preach this stuff to you. They can always be telling you certain stuff, whatever, and you just kind of take to it because they are your parents. You love them, you respect them, all this good stuff. And I also think you can show them the way, right? So you're saying your dad worked his butt off, didn't have a TV, he was always doing stuff. Mom was serving, doing these different things. So when it comes to learning and really taking that stuff as your own, not just kind of doing it because they're saying or they're showing it, but like when it really started to click for you, was it because they always preached it with their words, or was it their actions? Was it a mesh point of both of those things? Like, I'm really intrigued by that. So for you, what is kind of your experience with that?
I definitely say it was their actions.
Gotcha.
That's kind of the way I learned. That's the kind of the same way I try to lead. If I do the right things, if I'm busting my butt, if I'm sprinting every rep, if I'm doing all this, then I can tell you to do it. My least favorite type of people are the ones that are hooting and hollering and conditioning, and then they're not doing it themselves. They're dropping out. We all know those people on teams. But, I think the first thing in leadership is doing it yourself, and then you can tell, and then you can show. And I think, my parents are great examples for me. And, they didn't try to force anything on me. They showed me the right way to do it, told me their values, and, I kind of brought them up as my own.
Yeah, that's dope. I love that. And would you say, so your story a little bit, I'll give people some background, walked on to Michigan State, developed yourself into an All-American. Not many people can say that. Now, when you first come into the fold, I walked on at Michigan State too, so I feel you in that regard. When we're kind of thinking about making a footprint or making your mark or an initial mark on a program like that, right, in a role as a walk-on? Was it you coming in and just working your butt off to try to make that happen to get the respect? Was it in the weight room? Was it at practice? Was it first in meetings? Where did you kind of start when it comes to making an impact, first and foremost, kind of in those earlier years before the All-American stuff came? Because I think a lot of people listen to this, maybe they're in high school, freshman, sophomore, not playing a whole lot in a team or not getting good grades or not where they want to be, whatever. And it's kind of like, where do I start? I'm the low man on the totem pole. Where do I go? How do I even go about that process? And I think it's a very relatable process when you come in as a walk-on, literally the last man on the totem pole. How do you even get your name out there? How do you even make a mark? How do you even, get in front of the club? How do you even do that? Where did it kind of start for you? How did you approach that process?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is consistency each and every day. So it's not just one area. It's not just the weight room. It's not just the field. It's in the weight room, scout team, film, everything you do is full out. Everything you do is balls to the wall, which is kind of the way I am. So I'm flying around on scout team, pissing people off, probably getting yelled at, but I'm getting noticed. In the weight room, I'm pushing myself. I'm in the film room pushing myself. And if you can consistently do that every day, people start to take notice. You don't show up on lists. You don't do a bunch of dumb stuff. You do the right things and consistently work hard. And over time, you continue to build your resume. And if you can stay consistent with it, I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. Looking back a little bit, let's do this real quick. Kind of those first few years, maybe even the first year you're on the team, was there kind of like an aha moment? Like, damn, I belong here. Maybe it was a play that you made or a kind of a comment from a coach. Because for me, I remember scout team, right? That's what you do when you first get there, whatever. And it was catching a few passes over the starting corners, or a coach makes a remark to me. And that's kind of, it kind of gives you that confidence to keep going and persevere and shoot for more, do these different things. So like looking back a little bit, reflecting on that time, was there kind of a marquee moment for you where it's like, damn, I'm supposed to be here, I can do this thing, and it kind of accelerated you forward? Or was it kind of a slower process? What was that kind of like for you?
Yeah, I'd say the first camp was a little difficult. Wasn't getting a lot of reps, really I was playing Mike linebacker still in camp, so my mind was definitely swimming a little bit.
Right.
And then I'd say it was throughout the season on scout team. Like I said, it was consistent hard work.
Got you.
Coach Snyder didn't even let me do the practice drills at linebacker. He was like, "You're just a tackling dummy. You're not allowed to do the practice drills." So I was just a tackling dummy every day, and they would beat on me every single day. And I finally earned his respect about halfway through the season. I earned his respect for just taking the constant beating every day.
Yep.
I got Scout Team Player of the Week 6 or 7 times my freshman year, so it's a little bit of that. And I remember Coach Barnett pulling me aside, just saying, like, "You're going to play here one day. Like, you're a dog. Just keep going."
Yeah.
So, little things like that, just you get little confidence boosters. You get Player of the Week. That's always big. The guys go crazy. You're a freshman. Like, you think it's the coolest thing ever. Scout Team Player of the Week. Coach D reads in front of the team.
No doubt. Hell yeah.
So, that was a pretty cool moment. Those are pretty cool moments. Those are just kind of little reassurances, that, all right, my hard work's paying off. Got to continue to keep building on it each and every day. And, hopefully one day it'll go places.
100%. So consistency trumps. I'm with it. 1000%. All right, dog. Perfect. That sets us off right now. Question 2, when we're thinking about advice and, everything that you've been told over the years, whether it's coaches or parents or friends or whatever, kind of in your mind, when you think back a little bit, what is the best piece of advice that you've either learned through a book and reading, or again, from these coaches or parents? What's the best piece of advice you've ever received in whatever capacity that was in?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a difficult question. I'd say I got a lot of good advice.
Yeah.
I think it just goes back to, staying consistent when you come in, but it also goes back to, the mental toughness. To me, the biggest piece of thing was mental toughness. If you're mentally tough, you can pretty much do anything. You can pretty much tell yourself, all right, you can do anything. You can push yourself through anything, push yourself to any limits. That was my big thing coming in. It's my big thing now still, is just mental toughness. It's the most important thing. Physical, obviously, there's a lot of people that have a lot of physical gifts. A lot of people are physically talented, but, not everybody's mentally tough enough to play football, wake up every morning at 6 a.m. and bring that extra energy, bring that extra work ethic. And if you can combine those two, consistency, mental toughness, and each and every day come to work with that energy, with that positive mindset, that mental toughness, that, this is easy, this is another day. I remember Riley used to always scream during the half gassers, this is easy work, let's run more. If you come in with that attitude of trying to enjoy the process, just mentally strong, I can get through this is easy work, I think you have a lot more fun rather than you're coming in the locker room every day like, oh, I got to run again, I got to practice, I don't want to sit and film. If you can come in with that, mental fortitude, like, all right, it's another opportunity to get better. I'm out here having fun and running around with my friends. If you kind of look at it that way, we try to have fun always during practice.
Yep.
Who could bring the most energy during practice, who could run the ball the most, stuff like that. And if you have fun with it, I think it makes it a lot easier to go through.
Yeah, it's intoxicating, right? When you're around people like that. And it can work in the
Mm-hmm.
opposite direction too. People who don't want to rock like that, it can be draining, right? So why not be the guy who is bringing that stuff? No
Exactly.
question. Now, when you think about mental toughness, is that something that's always kind of been inside of you? You've always kind of held that? Have you developed that over time? Was it, for me, I remember it was getting injured in high school where it was the rehab process that really showed me what that grind was and how it wasn't just physically. I had to be straight up top too in my dome before anything else. Like, have you always had that or held that, or is that kind of developed over time for you?
I think it's something that I've had, but I think it's also something that you develop over time and you strengthen. It's something like physical. You also work on it. I've been trained. I train at Power Strength Training Systems like we talked about earlier. And, that was a big thing coming up in high school. I started training there in high school sophomore year, and we went 6 days a week. We never missed. We had a pretty solid group, surrounded myself with the right people that pushed me every day. And, we did a lot of stuff, whether it's push off plank holds or grip holds or, just a lot of stuff. Who can do the most sled suicides? We'd be going for an hour, sled suicides. Who's going to drop out first? People would be crawling with the sled. So, it's that type of stuff. You can just build up mental toughness. And then, like you just had an injury. I had to relearn. I felt a lot of mental toughness going through this re-injury in my ankle after my junior year.
Yep.
I had to relearn and rework on some of that. So I think it's something you can definitely build and develop, but it's something that's constantly changing every day.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. And I think sometimes too, when people look at mental toughness or they look at tough people in general, which I think is first and foremost a subjective term, right? It kind of depends on the person. But to that, yeah, it is a skill set, right? You don't have to accept who you are today as finite as your destiny forever. You can put yourself in these different situations to develop. Maybe it is toughness, or maybe it is a different skill set, or maybe whatever. Like, I think where people fall short a lot of time is people see, people like you on TV that are tough and they're throwing their body around doing this. But like at some point in time, you weren't that cat. You had to develop into that somehow. And that was through challenge. That was seeking different perspectives. That was doing all these different things. And I think as we get older, maybe as we work into our adult life or whatever, people start to accept whoever they are now as what it is. And maybe you can't find as much growth. You can't continue to work on those things. And I call BS. Like, I feel like, one, I'm getting exponentially tougher through, maybe it's this platform or the way I work out or my job or whatever, but like, you don't have to accept that stuff as final, right? So put yourself exactly like you're saying in these situations that will test you, see where you stand. You're able to look yourself in the mirror and assess it accordingly, and you can keep it moving. But if you don't do that stuff, then yeah, you're probably not going to find that toughness or whatever skill set you're trying to attain. So, yeah, in my mind, everything's a skill. I don't really care what it is. You can't really, I guess, necessarily control your height or some different things or the color of your eyes, but like 99.9% of things, man, you can improve upon it if you want to, straight up. That's in your control. So that's my 2 cents, I guess, real quick. No, man, that's perfect. Now, this is a really big one for me because I think about macro vision. I think about the big picture. I'm thinking 10, 20, 30, 50 years down the line. And not even just in that, but when it comes to my purpose in life, I call it my why. I think when you kind of have a really big why in mind, you can pretty much withstand anything that's put in your way. So when it comes to your personal why you do what you do, why you act the way that you do, whatever the case may be, what would you kind of classify or identify as the biggest why in your life? Family, I want to make some money. I want to be whatever. Like, what is your why that kind of drives you day in and day out?
Yeah, I'd say there's 2 big ones for me. First one's family, making my family proud. Like I said, my mom talked about helping those less fortunate and using my talents to do so, using my abilities to do so, which kind of leads into my second why, which is, helping take care of others. That's something I felt very strongly about, helping those that are less fortunate than me. And I feel like I was blessed with the talent. And, it would be wrong for me not to go as hard as I do every day. It would be wrong for me not to work the way I do every day because I was blessed with so much. And I can use it to impact so many with this platform. And, that's just, those 2 are kind of combined, my why.
Yep. I love it. I love it. And I think you made a phenomenal point right there where you said you're blessed with this talent and be shame on me if I didn't utilize it to the best of my ability. So I'm sure you've found this before. I most certainly have, again, coming into that walk-on role where you weren't necessarily granted an opportunity like these other scholarship kids or whatever. Um, and you think maybe that your perspective would have been a little bit different if you did come on scholarship in terms of your work ethic or feeling like you had to prove yourself? Did you think that maybe that was altered a little bit in regards to coming in as, this different role? Like, did that kind of drive you a little bit more to be more and do more and work hard and do these different things? Do you feel like, regardless, you still probably would have attacked things the same way?
Yeah, I honestly don't think so, that it
Love it.
really changed me. Obviously
Yeah.
being a walk-on, having the dollars, having that, it gives you an extra chip. I think I'm someone that's intrinsically motivated, and,
Right.
I have a bigger why than just being a walk-on. And
Right.
I'm able to push myself to the limits for that why. And I think regardless of if I'm a 5-star recruiter, I'm a walk-on, regardless if I'm a second-round pick or an undrafted free agent, you're going to get my best every day.
Right. No, that's perfect. That's perfect. And, personally, I don't know if I could have said the same, right? And I've really, and I kind of look back and almost say shame on me for this, where I feel blessed now, though, that I was in that situation. And maybe I didn't find
Mhm.
the playing time that I wanted to, or the scholarship that I wanted to, or get a chance in the league or whatever, because it's shown me that I had these big goals, these big dreams. Did I work my butt off to try to make that stuff happen? Hell yeah, I did. But I still didn't achieve it. So it's given me the perspective of I worked as hard as I possibly could and didn't achieve what I wanted to. So now when I have these different goals and dreams and aspirations, how much more work is it actually going to take to make that stuff happen, which is empowering to me because, like, damn, I already know how to work hard. Now I can level up a little bit still, but like I've been there, done that, and didn't see it. So like, I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to not go get it. Like, let's let it ride and see what happens. And to me, I feel like a lot of people maybe had never felt that in their life, or they're scared to feel that, whatever. But I've been there. I did that when I was 19, 20, 21. Bet. Check that boy off the list, because now I'm not afraid of nothing. Like, let's let it rip and see what happens. So,
Mhm.
for me, I would like to believe that, yeah, I would say the same thing, but I don't know. I don't know. So it's always a question I like to ask, but I respect that, obviously, and appreciate that tenfold, because that's money right there. Now, fourth one, dude, when we're thinking about a word or expression that you want people to think about when they think about you, right? Kenny Willekes is A or B or C. Like for me, I like people to see toughness or challenge or perspective. So like maybe it's a word, maybe it's an expression. When people see you, hear you talk, watch you move, whatever, what word or what expression you want people to associate with you when it comes to Kenny Willekes?
It's kind of ironic, but it's actually Michigan State's motto this year, with Coach Tucker, relentless.
Mm,
That's just kind of something that I've prided myself on. Like we talked about, that's
relentless.
who
Yep.
I am, relentless. And everything I do, you're going to get everything I got, whether it's relentless in the weight room, relentless off the field, relentless in helping, taking care of the loved ones in my life. No matter what it is, everything I do, I'm relentless, and I give you everything I got.
I got you. I got you. And again, is that something that's always kind of been inside of you? Like that's just kind of how you rock? That's how you've always been molded? Or again, has that kind of formulated over time?
I think it's something that's always been in me.
That's so dope.
Whether I'm playing catch in the backyard, playing pickup hoops, I'm telling you, I'm going as hard as I can at everything I do. And that's just kind of the way I was raised, the way I am. I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but I just go hard at everything I do.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with you, dog. I wish more people could rock like that. And it certainly rubbed off on me. And I think people, when they watch you or they hear you or whatever, you can just feel that stuff through your voice and your actions and the swag that you carry yourself with, most assuredly on the field. I think people rock with that and see that. And yeah, relentless, no doubt. And I was actually talking to Trey Barksdale yesterday on this thing, talking about his definition of relentless. And I think sometimes it can be intimidating for people that aren't as athletically gifted or in the limelight or spotlight like people like you, where, you are working hard, you lift in meetings, doing all this different stuff, and they don't think they're as relentless as maybe you are. But at the end of the day, I think you have to sit down and really identify what relentless looks like in your life, right? Because my definition of that might look different than yours and vice
Mhm.
versa. And that's okay as long as you've identified that for yourself. So maybe it is getting up a little bit later and going about your day. But like, as long as you're happy with that, then you can rock. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's a really cool word. But first and foremost, you got to identify that. And obviously you
Yeah.
found what that is for you and it works for you.
Mhm.
And you found success in it. And I don't know. I just think that's dope. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, I
No
think it
question.
comes down. Oh, my bad.
No, all you,
I was,
dog. Go ahead.
yeah, I was saying, like, I just think it comes down to having the passion for what you're doing.
Mm.
If you really have a passion, if you really love what you're doing, you can be relentless and give everything you got. It doesn't mean that you have to wake up early every morning and go lift at 6 a.m. It just means, when you're doing something, bring passion, bring joy, and give it everything you got. And I think that not only helps you achieve great things, but it also will rub off on those around you.
I got you. Yeah, it's almost like being in the moment when you're there, right? When it's time to work, that's work. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, I love that. Now, when it comes to passion, let me ask you this, Kenny. Again, I'm going down a rabbit hole because you got me thinking now. Um, how do you think, like, how do you think you've identified the passions in your life, right? And I wrote about this. It might have been a couple months ago now, but I think for me, hard work always precedes passion. Because if you don't work really hard at something, then how do you know if you have a passion for it? Because when push comes to shove and it does get really hard, are you still going to persevere through those things that you say are quote unquote your passions? Or do you give up and kind of fold? Because I think if you do give up and fold, then it probably really wasn't a passion. Maybe it was a hobby or you liked it and it's cool and there's nothing wrong with that. But to really claim something as a passion of yours, I think you've got to go through some shit first and foremost to really see if you're going to persevere through it and then kind of claim that as such. So like for you, is it hard work or is it something else? Like, how do you think you've kind of identified those passions, with this football or whatever, in your own life?
Yeah, I think a passion, it's got to be something you eat, sleep, and breathe.
Yeah.
Not just, oh, I like doing this, I like doing that, I do this on the weekend. It's got to be something that you will put blood, sweat, and tears in. It's going to hurt. You're going to be throwing up. You're going to be dying. You're going to be in pain. That's just what football is. Your body hurts all the time.
Yeah.
And, you got to just know. You just got to love it. I know football is my passion. I try to keep them faith, family, and football. I say are my three passions. That's the order I like to keep them. My 3 F's in my life. And, I'll do anything, give anything for those 3.
Yep. I got you. That's perfect. Yeah, because I guess, when I was playing ball, it was always in the back of your mind when you wake up, when you go to bed, when you're at class,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, like in some sort of capacity, the subconscious mind is rocking with something that has to do with that passion, like 100%. No doubt. Love it. Love it. All right. Now, last question, brother, before I let you roll, because I know you got to go. I like to kind of end this stuff with some tangible tactics to kind of take away with, or maybe people can apply this advice to their own life or what have you. So with this pandemic, it's kind of rocking out right now. Maybe we're stuck inside. We can't go to work. We can't work out how we normally do, whatever. For you personally, and again, a unique situation, NFL draft coming up, you would probably be working out for teams, doing all this different stuff. It's not happening. So, during this time, what's one thing that you've done where you've kind of adjusted in the right direction and kind of kept yourself going in a beneficial way that you can kind of offer up to us? And if you have any advice about what people should be doing during this time to, again, keep themselves proactive and efficient and effective and doing the right things, that when this stuff is all said and done, that we can kind of come out on the other side better than when we went in. Like, what does that look like for you? How have you kind of navigated the situation? And any advice would be more than welcome, dude.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me has been time management, scheduling. I'm someone that I'll go off on a limb. I'll start doing random stuff.
Yeah.
And lose track of time pretty easily. And with this pandemic, everyone's sitting around the house. Time is kind of just, it's what day is it? What time is it?
Right. Yeah.
There's obviously a lot less schedule. A lot of people are used to daily schedule in their lives. And when they don't have that, it can go to crap. But I think, if you schedule out your days a little bit and, start your day being productive, it'll lead to getting more stuff done. I try to wake up in the morning, make myself breakfast, brush my teeth, sometimes read a little bit of a book, not a lot of reading, just 10 pages, 10, 15 pages, kind of get the day started. And then, go to the gym after that. I've still been able to work out 6 days a week.
Great.
And I've also been trying to see a lot more family make a lot more time for the family during this pandemic, because I'm going to be gone after 2 weeks. Whenever we're allowed to leave, I'm going to be in a different city. So, I've been making that a high priority of mine. So, see a lot of extra family. So I just say time management and being able to, get stuff done. And that's the biggest thing for me.
That's perfect. Now, for your time management, is it like you map out your weeks, or maybe it's the night before you map out your next day, or is it just you've already established a routine and you just rock it out and it is what it is? Like, how you kind of go about managing that time, in terms of that actual structure?
For me, it's more just a routine.
Gotcha.
Something I've built up over time through habits. I'm not a guy that's going to schedule a whole week at a time. I kind of like to take stuff day by day, and stuff comes up. I'm constantly getting calls, texts from teams. So,
Yeah.
you know, you got to change and adapt your schedule. But I think if you work good habits into your routine, you know, you force yourself to read 10 pages of a book in the morning, you know, you force yourself to stretch at night, stuff like that. And if you continue to do that, it'll eventually just become part of your habit. And, you know, it's not stuff that takes 30, 40 minutes, you know, it takes 10, 15 minutes, but
Yeah.
take a little 10 extra 15 minutes, you know, to read a devotional, pray before you go to bed, stuff like that. And it just becomes part of your routine. And once you get back to daily busy life, then these things that you built into your routine while you were just chilling will be in your routine when you don't have as much time.
I got you. No, it makes a lot of sense. And were you a big reader before you started, or has this kind of pushed you in that direction, or have you always done that stuff?
Growing up, I used to read a lot. Throughout
Okay.
college, I did not read that much at all.
Oh yeah, no
And now
doubt.
I've been reading a little more. My trainer's been pushing me to read too as well. So, you know, my trainer's been a big part. You know, Mark Ennis over at Powerstring, he's been a big guy that's helped me with this routine. You know, helped me develop good routines, good habits. That's something that he always preaches. So, you know, I appreciate him for that. And hopefully I can help share with others, help other people with that.
Yep. Surround yourself with the right people, push you in the right
Yes,
direction.
sir.
Big facts. Big facts. Well, dude, Kenny, thank you so much, man. Appreciate your insights. Appreciate your perspective. Appreciate your influence. Because again, I kind of touched on it earlier, but I think when people watch you play, or maybe it's the media afterwards, whatever, you're always the same dude. You're always playing hard. You're always getting the job done. You're always making plays. And then afterwards, you're always the same cat, respectful, humble, doing your thing. And I think the platform that you set for yourself, the brand that you kind of set for yourself, a lot of people gravitate towards that. And a lot of people appreciate that. And you got a big fan in me. So nothing but the best moving forward, man. Good luck with the process, whatever that unfolds like. I know you're going to make it happen and do great things, man. So appreciate your time. Appreciate your influence. And have a great day, okay?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you for having me on, man. Have a good one.
No doubt. And to everybody else out there, y'all have a great day. Got a big-time guest coming up on tomorrow as well. Again, got a nice little lineup for you guys this week. So y'all keep rocking. Y'all have a great one. And God bless. Coach Cool.